The Galaxy S25 is underrated and underappreciated, and let me tell you why I don't think it deserves the treatment that it gets. Now, as someone who's been using Samsung phones for years, I have to say, the Galaxy S25 is getting a lot of unfair criticism. I've spent the last few weeks really diving deep into what this phone can do, and I'm honestly blown away by how much Samsung has improved from the S24. So let me break down why this phone specifically deserves more recognition, from its incredible AI capabilities to its refined camera system and that gorgeous display. It's quite a lot to love here. Sure, it might not be the flashiest update on paper, but the real world experience tells a different story. That's why in this video, I'll walk you guys through my personal experience with the Galaxy S25, and most importantly, I'll show you why it deserves more credit than it's getting. Now, the Galaxy S25 is a phone that I would say is the perfect Valentine's Day gift. It's affordable, has a user-friendly size, and will give you everything that you need when it comes to a premium smartphone experience. But as someone who is constantly switching between Android and my iPhone, I know that it's always a hassle to get all of your memories that you cherish so much over to your new phone, especially when the phone that you're switching to is a different brand. And as hurtful as it is to not know how to keep your cherished memories from being lost forever, I'm very happy to introduce you guys to something that helped me keep my memories alive: Dr.Fone. Now, Dr.Fone is a comprehensive data management tool developed by Wondershare that helps users transfer, backup, restore, and manage data between different devices and operating systems. It's particularly useful for moving content between iOS and Android devices. With Dr.Fone, you can easily transfer various types of data, including photos, videos, contacts, messages, music, and more. The software supports Android and iOS devices, making it a versatile solution for cross-platform data migration. And what makes Dr.Fone especially valuable is its user-friendly interface and reliable performance. You don't need to be tech savvy at all to use it. All you have to do is plug in both of your devices into your computer, go to your toolbox in the Dr.Fone app, hit phone transfer, and from there, you can select what you want to transfer from one phone to the other, and it's as simple as that. So whether you're switching from iPhone to Android or vice versa, Dr.Fone has got you covered. And if you are interested in Dr.Fone, click the link in the description and comment section of today's video. Now, in terms of design, the S25 feels very sleek, has nice curves that complement its sharp exterior, and I still find it very comfortable to hold till this day. Going further into the feel in hand, as the generations of phones improve, every phone in this price range kind of starts to feel the same. This and the iPhone 16 feels very identical, and the Pixel 9 isn't far from either as well. The back and front of the Galaxy S25 is Gorilla Glass Victus 2, and during my whole time of owning the S25, I've only dropped it on the floor and it still has yet to have any major scratches, and I already knew that it wasn't going to crack. Now, one thing that I do want to note is that I've always appreciated Samsung's displays out of any other phone company. Theirs have not only been more durable, but much less prone to scratches. The materials on this phone still feel really good yet premium. I've always loved the matte back because no matter how much time you have the phone, it'll always have that very smooth feel while also looking good in the process. And they even match the aesthetic on the sides, which I really liked a lot. The S25 is a little lighter than the iPhone 16. It weighs 162 grams, while the iPhone 16 weighs 170 grams. Not much of a difference, and again, in terms of aesthetic and feel, these phones feel very identical. Lastly, looking at color, I have the matte blue S25, and it still maintains that brand new look. And I also like the color and material because no matter how dirty my phone gets, I would just wipe it off with a microfiber cloth and it's as good as new. Now, taking a look at the front of my Galaxy, the Galaxy S25 has a dynamic AMOLED display that is still standing the test of time, just like any other Galaxy phone. Despite being the cheaper version, it has the exact same brightness as not only the Galaxy S25 Plus, but also the Galaxy S25 Ultra. And I even love that no matter how much the brightness increased, the colors still maintain their pop. The viewing experience is still very satisfying. The screen was very vibrant, yet gave a kick of realism, and gaming really brought out the resolution, especially when I was playing something like Asphalt 9 or Call of Duty. Watching content and movies on it was great as well. Yes, it does have a 1080p display instead of a 1440p, but if you look at it in person, it still looks good. A lot of times we get caught up in specs, but I always tell people that before you judge, you have to use the product in person to see if that spec actually bothers you. The 120 120Hz refresh rate was good. The responsiveness is still holding up very well. And as far as anything involving display, the Galaxy S25 is doing phenomenal, and I'm glad that the longevity so far is pretty good. The S25 has a bunch of screen real estate due to the hole punch camera being so small. I felt every bit of its 6.2-inch display since the bezels were basically non-existent. The display was flat, so there was no shortage. And I use swipe gestures, which creates even more space. And the facial recognition is okay at times. I found it to be right in the middle, meaning that it's worse than the iPhone 16, but it is better than the Pixel 9. And finally, the fingerprint sensor is the best in the game. As you can see right here, it's lightning fast, and it's also my preferred method when unlocking my phone. Now moving on to battery, the Galaxy S25 has a pretty good battery that can last you all day, but not if you're too much of a power freak. And when I say power freak, I mean someone whose eyes are literally glued to their screen 24/7. They're getting 8+ hours of on-screen time, and they can't live without their phone in their face. The Galaxy S25 instead is a phone that you can use a lot, but not too much. You check social media moderately, make some phone calls, send a few text messages, etc. And I usually get around 6 to 7 hours of screen time with mine, so I easily end my day with over 20% worth of battery, which is pretty great. I don't do too much. I just use my phone like the average person would, and if you are a power freak, the S25 Ultra is a pretty good option to buy as well. Now, one of the most notable disappointments for me was that the S25 didn't support the 45-watt charging, just like the S25 Plus and Ultra. 27 watts isn't bad, but it just doesn't look good when all of these phones in the S25 lineup should be identical when it comes to charging. But besides that minor disappointment, the S25 has a really good battery life that will fit all of your needs, especially if you don't overdo it and use it like a regular smartphone. Now, just like the Galaxy S25 Ultra and S25 Plus, the S25 has a really good Snapdragon Elite chip that is not only more powerful than last year, but it's also pretty less power hungry and built for better efficiency. And I'm really happy that it was able to maintain proper cooling, great power within gaming, and handle damn near anything that you throw at it a month later. On a day-to-day basis, I'm recording, playing games, scrolling through social media, and many other regular things on my phone, and no matter how long I've tested it, I didn't notice a single slowdown and was very impressed. The cooling system with vapor chamber cooling still holds up really well. I would test this out while playing a power heavy game, and it rarely got hot. Now looking at camera, the Galaxy S25 has not only been able to produce some high quality pictures and videos, but they've also been able to improve certain aspects using updates. The shutter speed has gotten much better. Per usual, I did my moving dog test and it was able to capture most shots in time. It's still not as good as the Pixel 9 or the iPhone 16, but it has improved. Looking at the outside photos, the selfies were good. I feel like I've been pretty hard on selfies, but recently I've ended up enjoying them. The blur in the back was good. The sharpness improved, and it does give me some nice photos. I also took photos of different things in different environments, and this is where the S25 is at its strongest. The colors were punchy, the sharpness enhanced the photo, and this is arguably the best camera in its price range. Inside photos were pretty good as well. The sharpness stayed the same. The extra brightness was included when necessary. Objects looked great no matter what the lighting looked like, and I was still very impressed. And now when it comes to shooting video, the Galaxy S25 is worse than the iPhone 16, and as of lately, it's worse than the Pixel 9. And I feel like video is where Samsung just truly needs to work on the most. So all in all, the Galaxy S25 has a really solid camera that has some pretty good consistency, quality pictures, nice stabilization, but they do need to work on the consistency of the quality within videos. And alright you guys, that's my review on the Galaxy S25 after a month of use. It's a really great phone that is arguably my favorite phone so far of 2025. And although it is great, you can have the argument that the Galaxy S24 is damn near the same thing for a cheaper price. But I think that when you just look at this phone for what it is, I think it does really well, and it has given me the same productivity as my S25 Ultra and S25 Plus. And if you want a phone that feels a bit more quality and still won't break the bank, the Galaxy S25 has got you covered. Peace.